Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. I'm here today to bring you a heartwarming Second Amendment news story, because that's what we do on Sundays. So the anti-gunners have lots of tools at their disposal that they use to fight our constitutional rights. And I've got a story out of Utica, New York, entitled "Sheriff Annoyed That People Are 3D Printing Guns to Sell to State Buyback Programs." I think that's awesome. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone that's subscribed to the channel. I want to thank the Patreons. You guys are awesome. So here we go. Like I said, this story is titled "Sheriff Annoyed That People Are 3D Printing Guns to Sell to State Buyback Programs." So these buyback programs, like I said in the intro, are one of the anti-gunners' tools to infringe on our constitutional rights. What they're designed to do is to take guns off the streets. Sorry for the air quotes, but I just think it's funny because nobody that's turning guns into a buyback program, generally those aren't the dangerous people that you don't want having guns. The people that have guns illegally and stuff, they're keeping those. The way these buyback programs work is that they pay people to turn in guns, no questions asked. And that is so that criminals will turn in stolen guns and things like that without fear of legal ramifications and prosecution. And you get different amounts paid out to you depending what kind of firearm that you turn in. So you get a certain amount for like a pistol. You get more for a semi-automatic rifle, or what they term an assault weapon. And you get even more generally for a ghost gun. I'm using air quotes a lot in this because of the terms that these guys use. And a ghost gun is what they call, a firearm without a serial number, whether that be 3D printed or made from a kit, like an 80%, or just a gun with its serial number defaced, filed off of it or something. And so you get your max payout for turning in those kinds of firearms. And so people have smart, enterprising young people, or old people, have found great ways to make a lot of money off of these things, which I just think is awesome. So let's get into the article. It's titled "Sheriff Annoyed That People Are 3D Printing Guns to Sell to State Buyback Programs." Buyback. An upstate New York sheriff is irked that people around the U.S. are 3D printing firearms to turn into gun buyback programs for cold, hard cash. I know in Utica, New York, Houston, Texas, and Spartanburg, South Carolina, that 3D printed guns were submitted to the gun buyback program, Robert Swinskowski, the sheriff of New York's Oneida County, said, and strangely, a professor at Utica University told Spectrum One News. He appeared to be referring to several stories that emerged this summer in which people in Texas, South Carolina, and New York did indeed sell back guns they 3D printed at home to local authorities as part of state gun buyback programs. This is where it gets good. One man, who identified himself only as Kem, admitted that he 3D printed more than 100 guns to turn into New York State's gun buyback program. He was awarded $21,000 for his efforts, which was paid out to him in $500 gift cards. This guy made $21,000 by 3D printing these kind of guns. They cost like pennies to make. If you have a 3D printer and you know what you're doing, this is like the original 3D printed gun, like the first one, the basic one. And you can make it at home in minimal time with minimal cost, as long as you have a 3D printer. And this guy turned in over 100 of these to these buyback programs that are designed to get guns off the streets, and he made $21,000 doing this, which takes money away from the anti-gunners programs, from their funds. I think it's such a win-win. This guy is a Chad. He is awesome. And I think anybody with a 3D printer should be doing this. This is awesome. Regulatory nightmare. The New York State Attorney General's office confirmed that the man known as Kim had indeed exploited the program, and as Swenskowski noted, it is unclear what to do about the loophole, given that others are doing the same in other parts of the country. From a public safety perspective, the Utica sheriff said, getting any gun off the street if it has the potential to harm someone may be just as effective as buying back traditionally manufactured guns, so there's certainly considerations that need to be given. These guys are just lying to themselves. They think that this is, they're trying to find something positive for them in this, that this guy's 3D printing guns at home just to sell back to them to make money. That somehow that's getting guns off the street. These guns were never going to be used to hurt anyone. It does them absolutely no good. You can't guarantee that those guns will never be used to harm someone or never be used unlawfully. Yeah, you pretty much can, because they wouldn't have even been printed if it wasn't for the sole purpose of making money off these buyback programs. They wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the buyback programs. Swenskowski added in his interview with the Utica-based Spectrum News 1, to the sheriff's mind, people like Kim should be held accountable for fraud. But he admits that changing the language of these buyback programs, which currently operate on a no questions asked basis, may hurt their efficacy. Because if you don't have the no questions asked portion of it, you're not going to actually get the guns off the street. You're only going to get people turning in their old, crappy, rusted out guns that wouldn't have ever been on the street hurting anyone anyway. No criminal is going to turn in a gun unless it is no questions asked. And even then, they're still probably not going to. To the sheriff's mind, so it's a catch-22, Swenskowski said, and it's hard to argue given the gravity of gun violence in the U.S. today. Yeah, the gravity of gun violence in the U.S. today. Because of the gun violence in the U.S. today is the reason why law-abiding, responsible citizens should own guns to protect themselves. Buy yourself a firearm, go out and train with it, become proficient at it, carry it daily so that you can protect yourself from criminals committing gun violence in the country today. You know, law-abiding citizens owning firearms are not the problem. And I do just love that there are people exploiting the system like this. It just shows them how stupid all their gun control programs really are. And they are stupid. Because gun control only controls responsible, lawful gun owners. Criminals, they don't care about laws. That's what makes them criminals. So, firearm laws, gun legislation, gun control, all these terms, they don't do anything to affect crime. And I don't know why that is so hard for these people to get through their heads. It's like they just want to convince themselves that they're somehow helping something, but it's not logical. Criminals are gonna criminal. That's what they do. They don't care what the law is. And law-abiding citizens are the only ones that get affected by gun control, and then they can't, protect themselves against said criminals. Right? Let me know if you agree. Tell me what you think about people 3D printing guns for these buyback programs. I think it's great. Please subscribe to the channel. If you like this kind of content, make sure you share it with your friends. Drop me a like. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped. Till next time.